This is the Sales Bible Podcast, episode 260, How to Use LinkedIn for Cold Prospecting, an anniversary issue.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers, and today is the 5th anniversary of Sales Babble. That's right. 5 years ago today, I started a podcast that talks about selling secrets for non-sellers, and here we are in 2019, and I am still talking about that very same subject. And in fact, if you go back and listen to those past episodes, for the most part, the format of this show has remained the same. I think I'm a little better at asking people questions, but I still get tongue-tied and find myself stuttering time and time again. Well. What's really important is the experience of the listeners. It's been terrific having people reach out to me all the time and say how much they appreciate the podcast. They tell me stories about how they took topics that we talked about and they put them directly into action. And it's fun to hear about the deals that they've closed, and they've been able to find confidence and success and a real love for the profession of sales. Many people out there, many sales babblers out there are just like me, former engineers, former techies. We never saw ourselves as salespeople, but here we are today. Life is so cool. Now, it's a lot of work putting these podcasts on, but the Sales Babble listeners make it all worth the trouble. So today I'd like to do something special for them. I often do this on these anniversaries. I do a solo episode and chat about something that's on the top of my mind. Now, most recently, I've been working for a client. I started working with them in October. It's a startup, and we're trying to better understand how to break into a market and how we can add value. We started by first building a value proposition and then doing a ton of market research to understand exactly the problems and the desires that challenge them. My task is to create a process for business development and to scale that up into a sales team, and we're just getting ready to start hiring, and I know exactly how I'm going to train them because I've been doing it myself. It's been really fun selling. So today I'd like to share exactly what I'm doing and how we approach it and how to leverage LinkedIn to connect with cold leads, very cold leads. So with no further ado, let's get to it. Now, as you know, I'm a strong believer in LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and we talk about it often on the podcast. But something we don't talk about is some of the numbers behind LinkedIn. Did you know that there's 500 million members in LinkedIn and that 260 million of them, that's over half, log in every month? 40% of them are active daily. That's a ton of them. And 61 million of them are senior level influencers. 40 million are decision makers. So these are the kinds of people, and because they're on all the time, these are the kind of people that you want to connect to if you're in the B2B sales. It's the most used social media outlet for Fortune 500 companies. It's the number one B2B marketing platform. LinkedIn is the foundation of how we do sales. It's where we go to first connect with people and to turn cold leads into warm prospects. Now, the process that I'm using may not work for you. This is just the process that I'm using, so it may not be a perfect fit. And in fact, in other selling that I've done in the past, it's not exactly what I did there either. This is just a slice of time. Here it is, March 2019, and this may work for you, it may not, so caveat emptor. First thing I want to talk about is assumptions, and you probably won't be surprised by some of the assumptions that I'm getting ready to speak about. These are things we talk about all the time. The first thing I'm going to assume is that you have some value to bring to market. If you don't have any value to bring to market, and what I'm saying in other words is, if what you're selling is crap, you could be the best salesperson in the world and you're not going to be able to sell it. I'm going to assume you're not selling crap. The second thing I'm going to understand is that you really understand your product. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you love your product and you really think it has a ton of value. Your struggle is, and this is what I found in here, is trying to get that value across to other people. I'm also going to assume that you understand the benefits that your customers experience, that you can actually speak in their language, in their secret words, what they love about how the product or service that you're providing truly has value. Of course, it comes to what we call the value proposition, and I'm going to make an assumption that you have a value proposition. And in the way it works, and these can be very, very, very convoluted and complex, but I like the simple value proposition that we help some kind of ideal client of some type with a problem or a desire, and we do this by providing your solution, whatever that thing is that you're selling, so that they experience a benefit, another benefit, and another benefit. So let me give you an example of that. Like, this could be of a potential value proposition. We help CFOs in the IT sector with a critical need to get paid. We do this by providing an accounts receivable service so that they experience quick payment in full and with no hassle. It's really important that you're able to speak your value proposition really quickly and tightly and completely so that people get exactly what you're about. We're going to need this in order to proceed. Because we know what our target market is now, we can start to figure out who target companies might be. And I want you to know there's a lot of places where you can look for companies that might be a good fit for you. The most common one is if you could look for companies, you could search for them on Google, and you could do it by location if you're looking for people who are nearby. You could go to your Chamber of Commerce. They all have members. You could look at their list. You could go to a trade show. Or even if you didn't go to a trade show, you could look for the exhibitor list. Maybe those would be the people that you would want to reach out to. You could also find government organizations on .gov websites. You could go to the library. There's a ton of places to find people. There's the A to Z database. There's Hoover's. There's InfoUSA. There's Sales Genie. And there's Standard & Poor's. There's a lot of places where you can go to find leads, cold leads. The first thing you need to do is go out there, get a big basket full of those leads. Next, we're going to go on to LinkedIn. And I'm talking about a very simple LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn Professional or what they used to call Navigator. It doesn't have to be anything like that. The free LinkedIn that you have can do this. First thing you want to do is at the very top there's a search bar. And if you could type in the name of the companies that you have on your lead list, and sometimes it's hard to find them. If you add a city, that can help. And what will pop up oftentimes will be their web page or their LinkedIn page, I should say. And it's usually something along the lines like www.linkedin.com/company/ and the name of the company. And oh, by the way, folks, this is all going to be in the show notes, so you don't have to worry about like clicking on this. You don't have to write notes down here. I'll have that for you. Once you find the company, then if you click on that page, you're going to see where their website is, and there's going to be something on the far right, and it will say the number of employees that they have. And if you click on there, it will show you all the employees in the company that are in LinkedIn. Most of the people that you're looking for are probably going to be in there. Some of the people that could be the president, or it could be the founder, it could be the CEO, could be the CFO, could be the vice president of sales, could be the chief technical officer, the CTO, could be the CMO, the chief marketing officer. You're looking for those decision-making kind of people in there, and you can find those all in there. Once you find the person who you think is the best fit for you, if you click on their name, there's going to be a place where it says Contact. Click on the contact them, and what's going to come up is going to be this thing that says you can customize your invitation. LinkedIn, let me read this. What does it say here? LinkedIn members are more likely to accept invitations that include a personal note. That is certainly true. It says add note, and if you click on that, I would add a note. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make on LinkedIn is they don't add a note. They just reach out to me, and trust me, guys and gals, I get 3 or 4 people trying to connect with me every day. The vast majority of them don't have any kind of notes. And the ones who do add notes do it poorly. I'll explain that in a little bit. Add a note and personalize it. And here's an example of a note that I might like. I would say something like this. It would say, like, let's say we're looking for John Smith. Hey, John, I see that you're at XYZ Corp and you're in the ABC industry too. I'd like to connect with other people in this industry, especially those who are local. Hey, thanks, Pat. Something just as simple as that. That's all I say. I don't try to pitch them. I don't try to sell them. I try to just say, look, it makes sense. You and I are in the same industry. There's probably some networking we can do. There's probably some fun things we can do. We can share stories, war stories about stuff. Maybe it's the idea that maybe we're going to meet for coffee someday. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll bump into each other. That's the mindset that you want to have. Very non-pushy, right? Selling secrets for non-sellers, non-pushy sales. Once you get that, then we start working down the process. It's kind of a 3-step process. First, you connect with them on LinkedIn. And then when they connect with you, you're going to send them an in message. And then once you send them an in message, then we're going to take action and try to turn that into a meeting. But if they never, ever connect on LinkedIn, because, look, executives are like super busy. They don't log in a whole lot. They may log in once a month. Sometimes you just can't wait. So then you just need to send them an email. And I'm going to share with you how to do that in a little bit. So connect with them on LinkedIn, send an IN message, and then send email. So let's assume that they do connect with us, and we're going to send them a LinkedIn in message to them. And it would be something along the lines like this. I commonly say something, and it's probably going to surprise you, but I say something like this. Hey, John, thanks for connecting. I really appreciate it. I'm looking for some advice on a project that we're starting. I have a plan I'd like to run by you, and I'd really appreciate your thoughts. Would you be open to meeting for coffee this week? And maybe if they're far, far away, maybe just say, would you be open for having a call? That would work too. And that's all I'm asking. I'm just asking for some advice. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just trying to create a conversation. You're probably surprised that I'm asking for that kind of advice, and I'll explain to you why I'm doing that in a little bit. But that's what we do. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to send them an email. And finding their email is not that difficult, actually. If you go to the LinkedIn page that for the company, there is a place where you can click on the website. Then you can figure out what the domain name is for the company. And if you put it into a tool called hunter.io, it's a tool that Neil and I have talked about in the top 10 before. And it will tell you the most common pattern that company uses for emails. Like the company might do first letter of the first name and then the last name at their website.com or .org or whatever. Or it might be their first name dot last name at website.com. Or it might be the other way around. Whatever that is, they'll tell you what it is. And in fact, they actually may list a few email addresses, and the person that you're targeting might be on that list. How cool is that? If not, you can guess what it is and then send them an email. And the email that I would send would be something very similar, like what we just said in the in mail. The subject would be advice needed. Hi, John. I just sent you a LinkedIn request on Tuesday. As I mentioned, I'm looking for some advice on the project we're starting. I have a plan I'd like to run by you. Would really appreciate your thoughts. Would you be open to meeting for coffee this week? Thanks, Pat. And like I said, sometimes people never connect on LinkedIn, or it might take them a long time before they do. So this will be the third time that you've popped up in front of them. A connect request that maybe they connected on, and then an IN message, which may be or maybe not they read, and then now an email, which they may or may not read. So you've probably been wondering, what's this whole thing that Pat's doing for advice? Well, quite frankly, what I'm really doing is market research. But market research is a great way to also qualify people. I'm trying to understand what people care about and what they don't, and I'm trying not to put words in their mouths because we're rolling out a new product or service. I don't want to make any assumptions what people think. This idea that build it and they will come, from a Field of Dreams, great idea for a movie, terrible idea for a business. So if I ask people, I got this idea, I'd like to run it by you, what do you think about it? They commonly get curious about, well, what is it you're doing right now? And sometimes they get converted into a lead. This has been happening a lot because of the services that we have. But people like to see what your overall plan is, and they want to be involved in that. And that's why I'm doing that. So First, we sent them an in-mail message, then we sent them an email, and now what we do is we want to call them up. If you look at their website, they almost always have a telephone number. I just call the main line, try to figure out if there's a dial by name directory in there. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. Now, if it goes to a main line, practically you got to say something like this. You got to say, "Hello, I'm looking for John. Is he in?" And they might say, "Oh, no." And you would say, "Oh, that's okay. Can I leave a message? It's about the email I sent on Tuesday." And they go, "Okay, thanks." And sometimes you got to call multiple times. And sometimes if there's like a gatekeeper out there, what I commonly do is I'll ask them, I go, "What advice do you have for me to connect with them?" So then we're just kind of going in this circle here. We're going from in-mail to email to voicemail or leaving them a message and then cycling back and doing it over and over and over again. I'm a strong proponent of the 3x8 rule, that you need to reach out every 3 days. You need to mix it up how you do it. You need to repeat this 8 times. Quite honestly, this year, I've been having to do it maybe 12 times, 13 times before people get back. But that tenacity really works. And the thing is, too, you always want to add value each time you reach out to them. Switch it up a little time. Like I might say this. I go, "Hey, I mentioned as part of this study I'm working on, it's focusing on the struggle of businesses keeping their staffing costs in line in regards to the new government regulation, HT 3.2. So they're going, "Oh, wow, these people really know what you're talking about. This is something that is relevant to me." Which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to like build up some trust. Rinse and repeat. The key mindset that you have is tenacity. Most people out there, your competition only follows up twice. Like I said, I've been following up a dozen times or more most recently. The trick is just keep it a little machine. Just go into the serum and you go, "Oh, it's time to call him. Oh, it's time to send an email." And I practically use all the same emails and voicemails over and over again. So it's not that hard to keep them all straight. Like I said, don't do this. Don't be pushy. Don't connect without a note. Don't pitch without a dialogue, without some previous dialogue warming them up. And when you do communicate with them, don't do more than 4 or 5 sentences. If it is really wordy, I'm talking this morning, I got some marketing company reaching out to me on LinkedIn, and she wrote herself probably a whole book on what makes her awesome and all the links and all this stuff. And I'm like, nobody wants to read all this. You don't even know me. You haven't done any discovery on me. You don't know if I want these services. The thing is, this is something I really want to like emphasize, is that the key to playing this long game is to follow up. It's all about patience. It's about tenacity, and it's about grit. And if you just kind of keep at it, this will work. Everybody who's anybody is out here on LinkedIn. And like I said, you don't need fancy schmancy LinkedIn Professional Navigator to do this. The thing is, B2B sales just takes a long time. And with the internet, you would think that it would have sped up. It hasn't. There's just so much data out there. It's very hard for people to like wrap their heads around that. And in fact, probably your greatest competitor is them doing nothing at all. So it can be very rewarding, but at the same time, it's just going to take an awful lot of patience. Again, that's what I'm doing to get people into an appointment, to get them scheduled, and to actually meet them, is I'm starting LinkedIn, then I send them a connect request, then I send them an in message through LinkedIn. Then if that doesn't work, I send them an email, and I use hunter.io to figure out what that is. And then once that's done, then I send them a voicemail, and I just keep cycling through. And what's interesting is sometimes people will answer one and then another. I've had people send me back a message in LinkedIn, and then sounds like we're moving good, and then I got to go 3, 4, 5 more times before they finally connect with them on the phone. It just takes a long time. People are busy. If you're not hearing from them, it's nothing personal. They're probably busy. As I mentioned, I've got some PowerPoints. It's actually a Google presentation on this topic. I'm going to leave those in the show notes so you can take a look at those. You'd be happy to download those, and the links in those. You might find that really quite useful. If you have any questions or comments on this, I know I kind of went through it pretty fast. don't hesitate to reach out and connect. I'd be more than happy to share how we do this. If you think this might be valuable for your company, hey, reach out to me. I might be able to help. I'm giving a talk on this next month. This is stuff that I do often. I love helping companies boost their selling. I love working with sales organizations. If I can help you, please reach out. That's all I've got for today. Until next week, take care and have a highly successful and profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.